Welcome to Another Thing. I'm Larry Menti. Hillary Clinton is the first woman to win the nomination of a major political party. And if she wins in the general election, she would be our first woman president. Still, politics is dominated by men. Congress is 80% male. State government, 75% male. And there are only a handful of women mayors in the country. Is the problem that women can't get elected or that they won't run? That's our topic today. And we begin our coverage in Pennsylvania, where a woman won the Democratic nomination to run for Senate. Kolodziej has more. Ellen.
Thank you, Larry. Women are a majority of voters in this country, and we will wield a lot of power in this upcoming election. But yet we make up just 20% of Congress. And that's why one group here in Pennsylvania wants to change that.
The story of America is the story of hard-fought, hard-won progress.
You can't turn on the TV without seeing a woman running for the highest offices in the land.
I'm Katie McGinty, and I'm running to have the back of working families in this Commonwealth and across the country.
It's really mobilizing a lot of younger women, women who are early in their careers. And we at Represent have met with many women recently who say, I want to run for office in 4, 6, 10 years.
Christine Jacobs helped start the political action committee called Represent, a PAC that helps women break into politics. She says things are getting better, but more women still don't run for office, not because of family concerns, but mainly because of one thing.
And the really big one for women is the money. And it's amazing that women are willing to call and fundraise for a nonprofit, but the idea of having to call and raise money for themselves goes against the heart.
Represent tries to demystify the whole fundraising process and introduce women to the movers and shakers who help them raise the big bucks. Because Jacob says it's still an uphill battle everywhere, but especially in Pennsylvania.
We've only had 7 women in Congress, 7 women in 96 years, and against hundreds of men. And so it is still a very tough environment. The gatekeepers in Pennsylvania are all men. And what I mean by that is the people who decide, the ward leaders, the people who decide who's going to run.
Eleanor Roosevelt once said that women need the skin of a rhinoceros to make it in the nasty business of politics. And that's why groups like Represent and others around the country are trying to make it easier for women to run for office. Reporting for Another Thing, I'm Kolodziej.
All right, Ellen, thank you so much. Now to talk more about women in politics, Celia King is the chair of Emerge. It is an organization that trains women to run for office. We should point out that she trains Democratic women to run for office, but for the purpose of our discussion, it really doesn't matter if it's Republican or Democrat. We're just talking about women running for office and the barriers they may face, and we might find out that they're their own worst barriers, but we'll get to that in a moment. Is it difficult to find women to run for office?
It is not difficult to find women who are interested in politics or interested in running. It is difficult to ultimately get women to commit to running for office because when we train women, we are hoping that they plan to run within the next 6 months. But oftentimes, women are planners and they are testing the waters to find out if this is really suitable for them, if it's doable financially. Do they have the kitchen cabinet of resources to allow them to be prepared to run an effective campaign? What do they need to do? So they're much more planners than their male counterpart, which then sometimes, I wouldn't say disappoints us, but puts us in a position to make sure that what we call build a bench of women ready to run.
And it's interesting you say that because I've seen the research on this, and one of the things it said, and it's not just in politics, it's in business too, that women sometimes don't think they're qualified to do something, where men oftentimes can be so narcissistic, they believe they can do anything. And a lot of that comes from being raised a certain way. Men are sometimes told, yes, you can do this, and women are taught sometimes not the same exact thing. Do you find that at all?
Well, yes and no. We tend to really attract the very confident woman. We tend to attract women who can be motivated when they are around women who are doing a great job politically in that arena, whether they are elected officials or if they are working in government or they have managed campaigns or they just simply really are public affairs individuals who are our experts that we bring to the table to train these women. And they get so motivated. But of course, life happens and it can slow women down oftentimes. But we are really looking for women who are not only ready to run, but willing to take the risk and that leap, because we really want them to not only go through our program and learn all the tools necessary, and then of course become very engaged in the political issues process, if you will, so that they can develop their own campaign strategy and their platform, but then be ready to take the leap. And so timing is everything.
They say that men look at politics as a career. And sometimes come right out of college and want to get into politics, where women, they found out, don't look at politics as a career. They have other aspirations and then go to politics after a family sometimes, or after a first career. Do you find that?
Oh, absolutely. There's no question. Women, you know, have to balance everything, and we oftentimes say, you can have it all, but you may not be able to have it all at the same time. And that, I think, is an important caveat, whereas men, as you spoke about earlier, may have a tendency to feel that they can have it all at the same time because there's somebody keeping things stable at the house. Women, you know, take care of the house. We're the chief of the household, and then we have to run for office because we are passionate and we are very engaged in what's going to happen. But I think that it's so important to get women in office because that voice is necessary. Women, we're an equalizer, and we bring a sensitive voice to the discourse, and that's important. Another point of view from an aspect of, you know, just independent skills that women have naturally makes us an important voice around the table.
Do you think Hillary Clinton, I mean, she now is the first woman to be the nominee, she'll be the nominee, of a major party. Do you think that will inspire other women?
Oh, I think it has inspired other women.
Already?
Absolutely, I think.
Because I'm looking around, I don't see it's about the same number of women running for office again.
You're right. The numbers are dismal, and that's why we're working so hard with Emerge New Jersey to get women running for office. Emerge America, with 16 states under its belt, focusing on getting women trained and really build confidence to run for office. And I think you will begin to see more and more people entering. But Hillary is absolutely one who inspires women to feel that they can do it.
But the numbers don't show that. That's what I'm saying.
It's coming. It's coming. And I think that it has shown that when she was in the White House as First Lady, when she actually decided to run for president the last time, I think women said, you know what, I can do this as well. So we are not having any problems recruiting people who are at least testing the waters to see if they're interested. The other piece is that fundraising piece, and it is a very huge barrier.
That's interesting. Do women have a harder time asking other people for money?
Oh, without a doubt.
Oh, really? Well, that's a big barrier.
And I think that that has an impact because we are going to sit down and we're going to think and calculate and try and figure it out, whereas the male counterpart will just go for broke and think that it will come later. And we are just planners.
Well, good luck in what you do, because it's important what you do. There's no question, we went through the statistics earlier, the numbers are abysmal of women representation in Congress, women representation as mayors, women representation all across the board. So something does have to happen.
Right. Well, we have an Emerge program in Pennsylvania, we have one in New Jersey, and we have 16 states across the nation, but because of your market, I just want to point out that women who are interested in running for office should seek out Emerge so that they can get some great grounding and also some camaraderie and a network that they will automatically have built in and developed for them.
If they're a Democrat.
If they're a Democrat.
Celia, thanks so much. Celia King is the chair of Emerge in New Jersey, but remember that Emerge is in all of the states that Another Thing broadcasts to. When we come back, we're going to continue to talk about women and politics, but on the other side, the voters, what kind of influence they're going to have in this election coming up in 2016 when Another Thing continues.